Who am I speaking with?
This is Craig Ulliott.
Craig, who are you with?
I'm the founder of a company called Where I've Been, and now I work at TripAdvisor as the director of social platform.
And you have actually created a few APIs. Tell me, what have you created?
Yeah, so I just did a presentation about how Where I've Been is built with a software as a service model. So we have a API-driven backend, which all of the business logic for the company happens on.
And your session was about like why you should create an API and how to go about doing it. And so let's start with the big question. Why should I even bother creating an API?
I think there's a couple of reasons. It forces you to create very clean code, and it provides a sort of nice abstraction between your business logic and your website, and it's very extensible, so you can build mobile applications and things like that. Also, as the company grows, it'll allow you to create a developer network, which allows you to expose the data and some of the core functionality to third parties and maybe just developers in general.
Well, how do you actually, I mean, just because you throw your API out there doesn't mean people are going to actually use it. I mean, obviously, it's got to be coughing up some important information, right?
Right, and that's a good point, actually. So the API that we've created for Where I've Been is not an open API. It's more of a paradigm we use to just design the system. I would say that's going to be the hardest thing for anyone who wants to create an open API, and you've got big shoes to fill. People like Facebook have paved the way.
All right, so your session was about how to go about doing it. So I know we're only talking for a few minutes. Just, give me the bullet points. What are the different things you have to worry about? Yeah,
so I mean, the part of the presentation was about how to build a startup, and I think Ruby on Rails is a very good example of how to build a startup, because I'm very cost conscious, and I'm of the opinion that developers are very expensive and servers cost peanuts. And I think for an API, it's got a lot of built-in appreciation for, Rails has a built-in appreciation for the shape of your objects and your data. And an API can be built very cleanly, where it can essentially abstract the shape of the data itself, and you're forced to expose it in a RESTful manner and things like that. So it's the right approach for a cheap startup to build something in a hurry, prove out the business model works, and then as you scale, if you need to improve that, you can rewrite it if you choose.
Is that exactly what you did?
No, that is not what I did.
But your advice is don't do as I do. So did you go about it all the wrong ways, and then after the fact realize, oh, I should have done it this way?
Pretty much. We also created ours about 4 years ago, so Ruby on Rails wasn't as much of a solution that we knew about and trusted enough. But I've built APIs since that are in Rails, and it takes a week as opposed to the original Where I've Been API, which took about 6 months.
What are the common problems and missteps people make when they're, well, specifically developing APIs with Ruby on Rails?
I think not even Rails specifically, but people, they like to overcomplicate everything, and I think that it makes sense to get to a minimum viable product as quickly as possible in general. So I think the biggest mistake, other than doing it, not thinking about what you're building before you build it, is not following standards. There is a ton of APIs out there, and if you want internal developers or external developers to use it, you should really embrace those standards, because when you hire someone, you don't want to pay them to learn how to do your way of doing things. There's a million ways that you could do it wrong, or you could just do what Facebook do. They're the million-pound gorilla. They set the standard. Just do JSON, do REST, do it simple, make sure other people want to use it, keep it simple.
By the way, that is the motto of what succeeded with the hackathon, too. Did you see the winners there?
I actually didn't, no.
No, that was it. Any last piece of advice with regards to creating an API? Just, what to keep your eye on as you're building it?
I think performance is obviously important. I think the advice I'd want anyone to take away from the presentation, though, would be minimum viable product and focus, and building things, because we're there to build businesses. We're not trying to build tech, at least at this kind of event. That's what we're talking about. So I would say build things the simplest way. Don't get lost in the world of engineering. Like, you're engineering a company, don't worry about engineering your own framework or something like that. Just get to the minimum viable product as fast as possible.